I knew consciously that I couldn't bear the thought of disappointing my mother, who went through all of this stuff, survived the concentration camps of Nazi Germany, survived a broken marriage, and totally dedicated herself to raising me. I'm just going to choke up here.
No.
I grew up understanding that I'll take care of my mother and everything, and it's just us against the world, nobody else. So I learned to be self-absorbed, trust yourself.
Those are two very different things, self-absorbed and trust yourself, but I think it's instructive that you put them together like that, because it's insightful as to who you are as well. That your self-absorption is really... it's your life force, and it's your gratitude to your mom.
It still is. Yes, it still is. The survival.
I'm David Duchovny, and this is Fail Better, a show where failure, not success, shapes who we are. Gene Simmons is a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer and legendary member of the band Kiss. From stadium anthems to million-dollar branding, they built one of the most loyal, die-hard fan bases called the Kiss Army. You wanted the best, you got the best. Here's my conversation with Gene. Your reinvention is constant. You're like a shark. You keep moving. You've said that in one of your books. So,
right, because people don't know that sharks, there are exceptions who stand still in the water, drown.
Well, they sleep in areas where the
water's going
so
through.
It goes over their gills.
That's right. Otherwise, they drown. They have to keep pushing the oxygen in the water through their...
Does this have any relevance to your reinventions, this actual shark information?
You mean, did I want to wear more makeup and higher heels than your mommy because of a shark? No, because I wanted a lot of money and chicks.
Well, okay, so we'll get right into the makeup part of it. That was what is amazing to me, reading your stuff and thinking about when you guys hit, when Kiss hit. You were so far ahead of any kind of recognition of marketing, branding.
Yeah, we didn't even know what that meant.
No, but you intuited it somehow.
Yes. Intuitive.
How did you do that?
There is such a thing as a singularity, which scientists talk about. Things just happen. And I'd like to take more credit, and so were the rest of the guys in the band. But there is such a thing as having the right thing accidentally at the right place and the right time. Given the following circumstances of this thing becoming a $3-4 billion brand, put this in the Renaissance, which is how you say that, or the 1800s, it just wouldn't work. The same thing at a different time, or during the doo-wop, that I'm going, what is that? So we didn't know anything. There is such a thing as gut. And specifically the four knuckleheads that made up the band, Ace, Peter, Paul, and myself, not everybody stood the test of time, were Anglophiles. We loved, well, not Peter, Chris so much, but certainly Ace Frehley and Paul and myself.
It was the Beatles, right?
Well, the Beatles was the initial template of a band that we somehow knew we wanted to do. We couldn't shine their shoes, of course, where every single person in the band was a star. Everybody got to sing lead versus, let's say, the Stones, where there's Jagger, and that's
sometimes
maybe
Keith.
Keith might come in for a song, but it's Jagger all the way, which is basically the way bands work. He's the lead singer, that's the guitar player, never the two shall meet. But the Beatles was the exception to every rule. They were all stars. John, Paul, George, Ringo, everybody knew them. You couldn't say Charlie Watts, Bill Wyman. No. And there was one singer. So somehow we knew intrinsically, big word like gymnasium, don't you think?
I like it.
Kind of a big word.
I like it.
That everybody in the band should sing, even though originally Ace Frehley did not want to sing and didn't write songs. We forced him. No, you got to go back, come up with some riffs, and then he did. And the first thing he came up with was about 80% of cold gin. I added a little bit something, and then the song was finished, and we expected him to sing it, but he didn't want to sing. So the band was put together in a rat-infested loft.
But here, before we get there, because nominally, the subject of the podcast is failure in some way.
Failure?
We like what's called fail better. So there was a time. You're coming out of your first band, Wicked Lester, right?
Yeah, Wicked Lester.
So you're feeling it's not a failure.
We killed it.
You killed the band.
Yes, we had a record contract. We recorded the album for Epic Records, and Paul and myself listened to it and said, "This is not what we want to do."
That's your gut again, saying this is not it.
That's right. For people who have no experience and no resume and no expertise.
But that's pretty ballsy to think about that, because how old are you at that point?
21.
You get a record deal, which is
a
pretty
big
phenomenal.
Deal. Yeah.
And then you say no.
And
where do you get the balls and the gut to do that at that point, to tank Wicked Lester?
It helped that I had a safety net. Both Paul and I coincidentally happened to be Jews, and so we did what Jewish boys do. You live with your parents until you can afford to go otherwise. That's how we know Jesus was Jewish,
yes,
right?
He didn't.
He lived with his mother until he was 33 years old, yeah. And he knew his mother was a virgin, of course, and she believed he was God. Then he went into his father's business.
That's true. It's all true.
So we had the safety net of, there are no expenses. We're not married. I couldn't even drive until I was 34. So there were no expenses. So then you reach into your gut. It's like, what is that thing we're looking for? And so we literally walked out of our contract of Epic Records and bought back the record for $44,000. In those days, that was a fortune.
I'm just floored by that. a 21-year-old doing that.
Well, I think in some way, a lot of the actors that come into L.A. from Sandusky or someplace else throw caution to the wind, break up marriages, leave home, run away, and they just, they come to, Oz. They want the glitter, the glamour, the thing, and it doesn't make any sense. But to be an actor,
I get the dream of wanting to be a rock and roll star. But
I mean, throw caution to the wind, because you can't depend on it. You get a gig and you get some money, and then where's the next one?
So at that point, was it just what you were hearing, or was it what you were seeing that wasn't right?
We didn't like what we heard when we listened back to that mastered first album, Wicked Lester. We listened, but it sounded like Three Dog Night, which was fine, but it wasn't cool. You didn't care who was in the band, or Doobie Brothers. Right. Some really fine songs, but other than Pat Simmons, you didn't know who was in the band.
Right.
They were not
stars.
The English gave us Led Zeppelin. We gave them the Grateful Dead. Mm-hmm. It's just not the same thing.
Right.
It didn't have the swagger and the glamour of the English bands, and we wanted that to be, and we quickly figured out we can't be that, because we didn't have pretty boy good looks other than Paul. And so we had to reinvent ourselves. And that, I'll never forget that day. We didn't know what we were doing. It's like kids in mud, or just throw stuff on. And somehow all four of us went down to Woolworth.
But you say somehow all four of us. You must have all decided, okay, we're going to wear makeup. There's the New York Dolls. There's a scene where rock and rollers are wearing...
but chick makeup. It was androgyny.
Right.
It was Bowie and New York Dolls and
what year is this?
1804, I think. 1973.
Okay, so it's Bowie. It's New York. You're in New York, right?
New York glitter scene, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm 6'2", and those guys were like little boys.
Right.
So we were not convincing wearing makeup.
Had you tried that look in performance?
For a photo shoot or two as Wicked Lester, and it was pathetic. You just looked like football players in tutus. And quickly got rid of that. And somehow instinctively we knew what it shouldn't be. even though we didn't know what it should be.
Right.
But you know it when you see it, and you know it when you hear it, kind of a thing. And when we went down, so one of us, I don't know who it was, might have been me or somebody else, said, let's go down to Woolworths. Let's buy some makeup. Like it was Halloween, I think. So we went down there, and right alongside the little plastic things that look like ice cubes with flies in it that you put into
Remember
drink,
those,
or whoopee cushions.
Yeah.
Put out under the seat of somebody's mother who goes, ah!
Yeah.
Love that.
I used to buy my singles at Woolworths, my music singles. They would have
that everything.
Top 50.
Yes.
Just laid out in front of you. And I couldn't afford to buy the album. And when you're a kid, you only want the hits anyway.
That's it.
You don't want the rest of the album. So I used to go to Woolworths and get those 45s.
I'm curious, what was the first single you bought? Or some of the early ones?
Some of the early ones were Grazing in the Grass.
Hold on. That's Yuma Sakela.
Yeah, he did a cover of it, but I think it was called The New Edition or something like that.
Well, maybe. You mean the song, the song version.
Baby, can you
that came
dig it?
many years later.
Okay.
The original was Yuma Sakela.
Great song. I bought.
Reason I'm asking you this is because I'm going to show you. Go ahead. What else did you buy?
You still got it. A novelty song maybe by Mel and Tim called Backfield in Motion.
Backfield in motion, baby. They're gonna break the rules.
Woo-hoo! That's right. Okay, and I bought Sugar Sugar, the Archies.
By the Archies. That was one guy named Ron Dante who co-wrote the song and played almost all the instruments on that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I bought Thank You by Sly. Thank you for letting me.
That's great.
Sly.
He used to be a DJ.
Yes, in San Francisco.
Yeah. And he also produced. He produced the Beau Brummels.
Right.
Who had 2 hit singles. I can't say yes or no, you know why, 'cause I try just a little, 'cause I have to, so try just a little, 'cause I have to go away. I
don't know that one.
Ba-da-da. The other one was, so I remember.
So you remember that setup. So you're at Woolworths, you're going to the makeup aisle or whatever, it's Halloween.
And there was Stein's Clown White, which was just a metallic tin, and you reach in, it's goopy, it's white, and you put it on your face. And there was Stein's Black Stick, which was literally a stick of black thing, and I guess clowns used to put it around the eyes and smeared and everything. We didn't know anything, and bought some outliner pencils, I guess, for your under the eyes, whatever chicks do, that thing. So we brought the makeup and everything and bought 2 4.5-foot tall mirrors for $15, and they were longer and sort of thin on the side. So as soon as you leaned it against the wall, they warped a little bit. So it looked like a freak house.
A funhouse mirror.
Your nose gets bigger. And all I remember is all 4 of us starting putting the slop on our faces. And what we came out with was pretty much what became the makeup.
Really? It was close, huh?
Yes. It's one of those things that just happens.
It is one of those things, but what I think a lot of people don't know, and what you haven't prefaced this with, because I haven't asked you, but you're an immigrant from Israel, and you came to the States when you were 7, and you basically learned how to speak English by watching cartoons and reading comic books. Television. And also
television.
And you loved comic books.
Oh, yeah.
And you drew comic books.
I did. So created my own characters.
So to get to this point, all that stuff is in you.
Yeah.
It makes that moment seem less surprising than it might. Of just you finding.
Well, hindsight's 20/20. You can see the puzzle pieces go together. But when I first came to America, from my perspective, I was actually 8.5 years of age, but with my mother, because my father sadly walked out on the family, which is not a unique story. Many people have homes without a father, shamefully. And
your mother is a Holocaust survivor.
Yes. She was 14 years of age in the concentration camps of Nazi Germany. Yeah. And lived to be 94 years of age. Just the best mom ever. I couldn't have made it without my mom. So you should see my place. It's got photos all over. Anyway.
At your home, you have like a shrine to your mom?
I have a few homes, David.
Well, I'm sure you do, but
I'm kind of a big deal.
You're a huge deal, sir.
But I digress.
No, the gold is in the digressions, by the way.
The goal is in the digression. Yeah. That's kind of a good headline. I like that. Mm-hmm. I remember we were looking at each other as the makeup kind of went on, and nobody said, here, do this, do that. Everybody drew their own makeup, kind of sloppy, but, you look at it and you go, that's a thing. I don't know what it is, but that's a thing. But most importantly, we started writing the songs that would become the staple
to those characters. Those what you saw inspired a sound. Inspired a sound. Yes. That's very interesting, isn't it?
The personas, not characters, is fake. A persona is more. I guess it's the difference between method acting and just saying the lines and getting the check. I'm making it up, but a character is like fake, and a persona is what happens to a boxer, let's say, is out of the ring having milk and cookies with his daughter backstage. Then when he gets into the ring, that persona comes out, right? It's the same person, but with a different mindset.
An aspect of you, an alter ego in a way.
Yeah.
All too often, people aren't familiar enough with their finances. They couldn't tell you how much they have saved for retirement, how much debt is on their credit cards, or which institutions handle which accounts. And when there's so much to keep track of and forget about, people risk leaving money on the table. Fortunately, you can get organized and confident in your finances with Monarch Money, an all-in-one personal finance tool. Monarch pulls your whole financial life into one clean interface. And right now, Monarch is offering 50% off your first year, just for our listeners. Link all your accounts in minutes and get data visuals, insightful categorization of your spending, and more control over your money. Named the best budgeting app of 2025 by the Wall Street Journal, Monarch helps you stay informed so nothing gets left behind. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code FAILBETTER at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code FAILBETTER. I'm beginning to understand why Kiss is worth as much as it is.
David, it was never called music. It was always called a music business. And if you don't pay attention to the business, you will be asking the next person in line, would you like some fries with that?
Mm-hmm.
It's a business. Yes, there's creativity and inspiration, but inspiration is highly overrated.
But you loved music, though?
With a passion, but I'm a pragmatist, above and beyond.
When you first fell in love with music, though, you didn't think, this is the way I'm going to be making money?
No, I always just wanted to make money because that's pragmatism.
Well, also, you had nothing.
Had nothing. And the first music I heard, we came here in 1958, first music I heard, even before I could speak English, we didn't have a radio. When we landed in America, I couldn't believe this box. You had all these stations, and I constantly changed. I heard Chuck Berry, Little Richard, and, all that. Ironically, I was the only person of note who did a eulogy at Chuck's funeral.
Really?
Yeah, the family asked me to get up there. And I thought, life is so strange that an 8.5-year-old boy from Israel comes to America and hears, roll over Beethoven, and doesn't understand the words and just starts moving because the music made you move. I didn't know how to dance or anything, but just, the lower reaches of your body started to, move in the way that white music didn't, like white music, and then you hear this kind
above the shoulders.
Yes, and of course they go, da, 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 boom, boom, white people clap on the one.
On the one.
I don't know how to explain this to people, but like, you ain't nothing but a hound dog. That's what you're supposed to do. That's not what white people do. They go, you ain't nothing but a hound dog, on the opposite thing, the square. At any rate, by the way, written by Jews, Lieber Stoller.
I believe you.
Yeah, Fever, Under the Boardwalk, on Broadway, Lieber Stoller.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I used to go to Elaine's. I'm sure you know that place was. It's a kind of a watering hole way uptown in New York. And I'm sitting there having dinner with some people, producers or whoever, and next to me is Leiber from Leiber and Stoller, the guys that wrote all that stuff. And I started talking about music, and I realized, wow. So I'm such a big fan. You don't understand that your music changed my life and everything. He goes, hey, let's write a song together. I go, what? What? He goes, you have any idea? We're sitting next to each other. I said, an idea? Yeah, Animal. Let's write a song called Animal. I don't know why I said that. He goes, that's great. You bring out the animal in me. He started talking about it. That's good. That's good. Love is one thing, but you bring out the animal. And he started riffing on the animal. Good. Should it be there? But I can see care. There cares. He started mapping out.
He's the lyricist. Is he a lyricist?
They both toyed around with the thing. Yeah. Okay. Like Lennon and McCartney. They just came up with it. But really on a high level. Yeah. The Coasters, Charlie Brown, Love Potion number 9.
So what happened with Animal? Did you finish it?
He passed away. We didn't get a chance to do it. Shortly thereafter, he passed. That would have been thrill of a lifetime. But it happened to me again when we were at the old house on Benedict Canyon in Beverly Hills. All kinds of knuckleheads would come over to say hello, or we'd try to do business, all kinds of people. My daughter finally put a T-shirt that says, I've been to the house, because when the kids were younger, Sophie, my little girl, said, oh, I love Spice Girls. I go, which Spice Girl do you like? Oh, Mel B. Oh, she was at the house. She was at the house? Yeah, you were too young. She said hello. Right. And Nick started to love Bob Dylan. Oh, yeah. And I'm going, Bob Dylan, you like him? Dad, those lyrics. I go, well, he was at the house. What? Yeah, he picked you up and everything. So I thought, oh, my son loves Bob Dylan. I'm going to call him up and try to get him to write a song with me. Delusional, but I've always been that way. Just dive into the deep end. What can happen?
Well, you often say, it's interesting, you say you're delusional, but you're aware of it, which is an odd state of mind to try to comprehend.
You should be delusional about yourself because, pal, the mountain ain't coming to you, Muhammad. You got to go to it, whatever. And failure means nothing. You get up and try again.
So you don't see failure as something to learn from.
Nah.
Just let it go.
Just delusionally, I called Bob's management, a guy named Kramer. Hi, it's Gene Simmons. Oh, hi, Gene. What's up? What do you want? I want to write a song with Bob. Well, that's not going to happen. That's Bob Dylan and all that. But sure enough, Bob came over to my place within 2 days, bless him, in a white unmarked van, and we started strumming and humming and came up with a few tunes that were.
Did you record them?
Oh, yeah. One was called Waiting for the Morning Light. You can Google and schmoogle and press all the other buttons that torture me.
There's a couple of songs you've done outside of Kiss that I think are lyrically probably more revealing for you. That's like Mr. Make Believe or Man of a Thousand Faces, And do you feel like you put more of the non-persona?
Non-Kiss,
the non-persona, I'm talking about, the demon or whatever, that I'd love to talk about at some point as well. But
yes, true.
Do you feel like that was a dropping of the mask, or was that just putting on another mask?
A little peek.
Under the mask.
You have to take into consideration strippers don't walk out naked. You got to peel it. Okay. You got to take the audience with you so that at the end, now
this is very interesting. Just to sidetrack, you're aware that the culture has moved past or regressed or however you want to put it, like that you saying something like that is going to push people away in a way, but you stick to your guns in a way that I appreciate. You have not changed the way you tell stories or the way you present yourself, even if it's a kind of a mask, even though you're aware that it sits in a different space these days?
Well, you get one shot at this, and the Greeks probably had the right idea: to thine own self be true.
Okay.
Do what you do, or do what Popeye does. I am what I am, and that's all that I am. I'm Popeye.
Right.
That's it, with the mistakes and everything else.
Right.
Poor Ozzy passed away.
Yeah.
And that was heartbreaking because I knew him for decades and decades. And there was a unique human being, a giant, who, no matter what anybody said, was always Ozzy and treated you and the next door neighbor exactly the same. Hey, how are you? Nice to see you. No airs about him,
Right.
no anything. And it's a good lesson for idiots like me who sometimes, guilty as charged, get full of themselves and say, wow, I'm kind of Gene Simmons. And if you would have met Ozzy, you're on your best behavior. You try to, because he was a big
Ozzy.
deal. Hey, how are you? Nice to see you. I just bought Vermont, those sorts of stupid things which are just meant to impress. Not about that at all. Just, hey, how are the kids?
Right.
So it is humbling for someone like me who based my life on creating armor around me so that I wouldn't be hurt, sort of change my name, change my appearance, do whatever I have to do to survive and appear stronger and more successful than I am. People think I'm much richer than I actually am. I mean, I've done okay, but, you must have billions. No, I don't. It's just that thing. And I like that thing because it means you might not be hurt as much, because there are a lot of people who are out to get you because they have empty lives. I don't know why. But humbling, it's important for people like yours truly. You don't seem to have that malady.
Humility, though. Maybe not humbling, but humility, I think, is what you're talking about.
It is important to meet somebody like Ozzy who is just himself, whether now, of course, when he gets up on stage, it's more like
and he had that voice.
More like scream therapy. You get out there and it's just all energy coming. But strangely, the real Ozzy is supposed to be the Prince of Darkness, and yet in the shows he blows kisses to the fans and goes, "I love you."
Yeah.
If you were the Prince of Darkness, that's like anti. Yeah, that's kind of like a good guy.
Right.
He was a giant.
So in these songs that I reference, you consider that a peak at
more.
And are you still writing music? Is this the direction that you go? More self-revelatory?
Well, there's
more confessional.
There's less after 50 plus years. There's less time to sit there and come up with riffs and writing. I do write.
What do you mean? There's less time?
Well, Kiss was sold to Pophouse, the makeup and the underlying rights and all that, and so now Pophouse, which is a great company, are doing just unbelievable things. They're investing just truckloads of money into doing the Kiss Avatars show, which is like state-of-the-art, something people won't believe.
That's kind of like Beatlemania?
No. It'll be like an Alice in Wonderland journey, but you've had virtual glasses on, have you not?
I have not.
Oh, you should try it.
Yeah.
You put the glasses on, and reality, as you know, it disappears. Anywhere you look is not where you are.
Right.
You're like that, and you're in a different reality. So much so that you think you're going to go swimming, jump into the water, and you'll run headlong into that because you believe you're there. And you look down on the floor, and there's dinosaurs and snakes, whatever's going on. Now imagine that without glasses. It's crazy what the technology is doing. So this is going to be kind of I'm trying to not use too many words to describe it, because suffice it to say that when people see this, it's going to be an experience, not see, because you'll.
It'll be like going to a Kiss concert back in the day?
Well, it wasn't too long ago. No, way more, because at the event, you'd look down and you'd see the person next to you as you're standing on your chair and everything. You were aware. So there was this spectacle there, and you were aware of this. This is more like virtual reality where it's going to be all-encompassing.
You're inside it.
Even if you go to see a 3D, and we did a 3D concert at Dodger Stadium. You put on your glasses,
Really? Yeah.
so when I spit fire, you could be in the back and you see the flames coming towards you, which cost a fortune, back then, 2000. And no other band was doing that. We were nuts. We wanted to increase the experience.
Well, here's what I found really kind of interesting, because you've been talking about like your first exposure to American music, how it made you feel, how it made you move. Black music, how it made you feel and move. And then, you famously don't give a fuck what the critics have said about you, because you've said it's not necessarily about the music for you, but it's about giving them that feeling, giving the fans the feeling that you had when you first heard the music.
That's right. Even if you didn't understand the words, it is about feeling.
That's what Kiss was always about. That's what your music career was always about.
That's right. The experience and the electric church of it, to make you forget about the traffic jam and the fact that your girlfriend's screaming at you.
Those are like everyday concerns, but you've also said that the KISS Army or whatever, it's a refuge for outcasts, which takes me back to your childhood as well.
Yeah,
so it's not just forget your daily cares. It's like we're going for people who are actually on the margins.
Certainly who don't feel part of the mainstream. And secretly, even people who consider themselves part of the mainstream don't like it when people judge them. Oh my God, if you're a young female, if you're not wearing Kylie Jenner's lip gloss the right way or some God knows what else, you get, that's a wonderful outfit for last year, all that stuff. And guys too, if you're not a jock, if you're not this or whatever, those pings I get.
You're a popular guy.
I was about to say, I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
I was afraid when I pulled up, you'd think I was Richard Simmons. See, that joke only works with older
white men.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's very interesting to me, Gene, because you're talking about giving a feeling to your fans.
Well, music is easy because you can name.
You realized also early, like you said, we were limited musically.
Yes.
You weren't the Beatles. Nobody is, but you had the wherewithal to say, we are not going to do it just with the music. We have got to give people an experience.
That's right.
And continue to give them this experience. And you did not hit it as a band until you came out with a live album.
That's right.
Which is really, it's unprecedented.
Well,
really.
we didn't, not only was it unprecedented, it was the last thing you would do. In those days, you put out a live record when your career was over, and it would have your greatest hits. And you would play Las Vegas. That was,
or if you owed a record company an album, right? You'd give them a live album.
Yes.
Like Get Your Yayas Out or something like that.
Oh, that was even before that.
Yeah.
Well, that was original material or some of it. But anyway, the point was, you didn't do a live record before, but we didn't write hit singles. We didn't write singles, la-di-da, that Mom would like. We just turned the guitars up and wrote the songs we liked. So the live record was an experience of what it's like to go to a Kiss concert, and it was a double album. And strangely, it became the second platinum record of all time. Platinum records came in to the RIAA, Recording Industry Association, New Year's Eve 75, 76. It was to celebrate albums that sold at least 1 million copies. Up until then, a gold record meant you sold $1 million worth of records, which at $3.33 per record was about 300,000 records. So if you sold 300,000,
that was a gold
you
record.
got a gold record. But we were selling millions. We were outselling the Stones and all kinds of stuff. So Capitol, and a big band at the time was Grand Funk Railroad, for about 2 years.
American Band was their single.
Huge, yeah. And so Capitol Records, which had the band, sent out platinum records as a promotion for their new album to the critics. Well, Platinum Records got a hold. People liked the idea because more and more records were selling 1 million or more, so they gave it out. So the first platinum record was Hotel California.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The second one, a few hours later, was our Live One,
really,
which was a double album.
Yep.
I win.
But that became the key to your longevity, was
the live experience.
To translate.
Yeah, the live experience. I mean, there are other pieces of the puzzle. We were doing licensing and merchandising. And,
you were doing that. That seems like
it's too easy to say me, me, me. It really.
It's not hard for me to say you though, and I think that's probably. Oh, there was Bill O'Coin, was it? He was kind of instrumental.
Bill O'Coin was the manager who had never managed.
Yeah.
And we were a band with no experience. You know, we were the blind leading the blind. But he had a television experience, and he had a great point of view of the glamour stars of yesteryear. He said, you never saw Marilyn Monroe
without her makeup on.
Without her makeup on. And that's where the idea of, you know, you're wearing makeup and everything, we can't show what your real faces look like. Preserve the magic.
How did you feel about that?
We didn't know anything. We just said, oh, okay, that's what you're supposed to do. And it became such a thing that the Library of Congress allowed us to trademark our faces, which you couldn't do. I mean, you could have a face mask that looks like Johnny Carson, and he wouldn't get a penny. You put out stuff with Kiss's things, and we take your first child.
But at the height of your popularity of Kiss,
we make more now than ever. But I understand what you mean.
I just mean in terms of like in the culture,
the cultural thing. Yeah.
Could you have walked down the street and nobody would know that you were Gene Simmons?
If I would have cut my hair, all the way, or tied it back, and I often do. I wear like a baseball cap and everything. It's less of a thing. But in those days, and even today. If I tease it up and everything, or wear snakeskin boots
and a big cod piece,
then yes, for lunch, in case you get hungry, then people go, oh, that you put one and one together. But until we had a reality show called Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, 167 episodes, 8 seasons, and it was.
You're an excellent hype man. You were just an excellent hype man.
So. That sort of made it more thing. But I was never looking for that, you know. I was always pragmatic in the sense that I wanted to be rich first and then famous.
Well, this gets to an interesting point. I want to talk about 2 things before we finish. One is who is the demon, and what kind of backstory did you ever make up for that, and that kind of stuff, and were you thinking of the Jewish superheroes that came before you? And then also, when you talk about parenting in your Power book, you say you're kind of going against the trend of these days, which is it's all about relational.
Bullshit.
Okay, well yes. So you're saying
your parents, especially your father, should not be your friend.
Not be your friend, but also that your number one job as a father is to go out and make them financially secure.
Yes,
it's not to spend time.
I can't give birth, but I can protect my family, and most importantly, I'm the provider.
But you did say in this book, in the beginning of this book, you dedicate it to your wife, who you married after 29 years of being with her? Shannon, and your 2 kids, because they taught you how to love someone other than yourself.
That's right.
So I've heard all of what you said, and I get it. And you've also said that people mistake your enthusiasm for arrogance, which I think is very interesting. And
not everybody likes Jesus either, and that's life.
Right.
As long as you like yourself.
What did you mean by that?
Well,
that inscription.
My father walked out on us. See, I was going to say me, but can't even get close to that. My father walked out when I was about 6.5 years old, and my poor mother had to raise me and be the breadwinner and all that. It worked 6 days a week, 7 in the morning till 7 at night. Yeah. And all her life. And as soon as I had some money, I made sure she never had to lift a finger, had somebody wait on her hand and foot, bought her houses, whatever she wanted, and she never wanted anything. And I just want to give you quick stories. I'd fly her out to L.A., to come visit and everything. Refused to fly first class.
Really?
Refused. They have seats back there. You can save $2,000 or whatever it was then. Mom, fly first class. I can buy the plane if you want. Fly first class. No. And then she came in and she stayed in the guest house, which was like this wooden shack. Before then, she'd go to the grocery store and buy cottage cheese, Wonder Bread, and what she calls tuna fish, in a Hungarian accent, and potato chips. She liked potato chips. And that's what she would eat. Shannon would cook up, stuff.
And she lived to be how old?
94.
Tuna fish and potato chips. There you go.
Just
Richard Simmons.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. And always had a shapely figure, never an extra pound. But so you can be smart. You can learn smarts. You can learn information. You cannot learn wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to see the 30,000-foot viewpoint of life as we know it on the third planet from the sun, about what's important and how you live. If you have life, especially in Western society, every day above ground is a good day. That's not verbatim, but in Hungarian, translated to English, was what my mother used to say. From her perspective, being a concentration camp survivor at 14 years of age and seeing our whole family tortured and wiped out, I know what she means from her point of view. So I know for a fact I never got high, literally, in a dentist chair. Yeah, they knock you out. Never smoked cigarettes and never been drunk, ever. Because I knew consciously that I couldn't bear the thought of disappointing my mother, who went through all of this stuff, survived the concentration camps of Nazi Germany, survived a broken marriage, never got married, promised herself she wouldn't remarry until I became a grown man, and totally dedicated herself to raising me. I'm just going to choke up here.
No.
Total dedication, no matter what, a lioness. How would I be so I grew up understanding that I'll take care of my mother and everything, and it's just us against the world, nobody else. So I learned to be self-absorbed, trust yourself, don't anything. When you get, I didn't have.
Those are two very different things, self-absorbed and trust yourself, but I think it's instructive that you put them together like that because it's insightful as to who you are as well. That your self-absorption is really, it's your life force and it's your gratitude to your mom.
It still is. Yes, it still is the survival and success. It still is the main motivating factor. Look, I can't give birth, but I can make money. Because at the end of the day, what good is the male of the species unless we can pull the cart to market of the thing? We don't make life. But at any rate, what I was going to say was, so I learned to be completely self-absorbed. Here's what I want. Nobody's going to get in my way. And that means girlfriends.
And you don't care what anybody says about you.
No. What does it mean? Do I have my mother's hips?
Never hurt like the critics never loved your music or shit like that? That never hurt a little bit? Nothing?
But
didn't
David,
feel like...
they're mulch.
No, I know.
I don't mean that they're bad people. It's just they're not qualified to have. They've never done anything.
There wasn't a little sting ever?
No.
Okay.
Not with boy.
I salute you.
Money is the salve of everything. If you recognize that, just laying in a bathtub, just throwing it up in the air. Money is the salve with a silent L.
But when you say salve with a silent L, you're implying that there was an injury. To be salve. No, but you're saying no.
Lack of money and failure is the injury.
Okay.
Then you really care about what people say because what they say affects success. But there was a disconnect between, wait a minute, they don't like, but I think I can buy the building they live in and throw the guy out.
But isn't it also that you didn't care as much about them criticizing the music because you knew what you were giving your fans was not
Well,
just the music.
The fans
it was
loved
the
it.
experience.
The fans loved
Right,
it.
exactly. Now,
But I wanted to get to a point, which
please.
is so my entire life, I had lots of girls, one after the other and all that, because, I don't know, the gift of gab, or God knows why they let me get close to them. And I had only 2 semi-serious girlfriends before I met Shannon. Diana and Cher. And that was it. Before then, I never wanted anybody telling me anything. And then I met Shannon, and it's like being thrown to the deep end of the pool, and I didn't know what hit me.
Well, this was, I don't know if this was the answer to the question when I asked you, how did they teach you to love something other than yourself? Did it just happen with the birth of your children? Did it just happen when you reached a certain age?
I cried. They used to call me Spock when I was growing up.
Oh, really?
Truly, yeah.
Wow.
That was my nickname, because I saw people falling downstairs and bleeding, and I was just notice it. I'm still mostly like that. The emotion of it is not there. David, I'm going to be 76, and I don't have...
What are you pointing at?
I don't have the shakes.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't do the stress thing. I don't worry about what does it all mean and where is it going. It seems to be in the...
You have a very interesting riff in Power, where you talk about Fallon's work on psychopathology, and you say we could all use a little bit of psychopathology every now and then.
Of course.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
Well, you riff a little bit and I'll jump in.
What you're saying is that what we call a psychopath, it comes from a different, an earlier part of our brain. It's not. Right. It's not the prefrontal cortex, which is our reasoning. It's the prefrontal cortex is way more recent evolutionarily. It's very modern, and it's what we associate with empathy and reason. And
a psychopath is unable, not because intentionally, they don't feel pathos or
right, but we all have
feelings.
That underneath.
Absolutely,
we have that underneath
because it's a survival method.
Right, and you say that a psychopath in a crisis is what we kind of need, our own inner psychopath.
Yes,
and what you're advocating for is a psychopath with
a benevolent psychopath.
Benevolent psychopath. Now, can you riff on that a little bit?
Yeah. So I do believe, and I say this to people, be delusional about yourself. Be like me. I don't mean my decisions in life, but who gives a fuck what anybody says about you? Everybody's got an opinion. Not everybody likes Jesus. What does that make Jesus irrelevant? That's not how it works.
Can it also be like, who gives a fuck about that last failure, just in terms of this podcast? Who gives a fuck about that failure?
Well, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I mean, that is survival.
So this guy, the demon, does he have a full biography? Did you think about what is he? What does he believe? What does he do? Is he a psychopath?
Yes.
And
well, we all have our Jekyll and Hydes, right? Yes, that's Mr. Hyde. Yeah, so and it's all part of us.
He
because
spits blood. He breathes fire. He plays bass.
Usually from the front, unless there's a lot of Italian food, and then it comes in. But we are all different, emotional and psychological phases. You're not play acting when you're going to a funeral and you feel downtrodden and, you're crying or breathing heavy or whatever. And you're not play acting when your adrenaline kicks in as you're being threatened by somebody holding a gun, in front of you. And when you're in ecstasy, you're different. When you celebrate, your teeth are shown and you smile and all that. These are all part of the same person. But earlier, when survival wasn't a given, we were closer to our psychopathic nature, which is to say we couldn't be emotional.
Do you think that's why, one of the reasons why this persona that you created is so popular because it kind of taps into something
For
like that?
men, especially heterosexual men, yeah.
Can you riff on that for a second?
Men have been emasculated. They've become in touch with their feminine side. I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of that. I don't want to be a feminine man. Although a caring man, yes, that comes with I'm the provider and the protector.
A loving man?
Yes, we scientists have found out that T-Rex, the most feared predator, was actually a loving parent who would, especially the female, would fight off and kill anybody that came near her eggs. And the male,
So those little short arms were for hugging.
they were for hugging. Oh my God, that picture is crazy. They started off actually before that, before Allosaurus and Dimetrodon and all that. I won second grade in the science fair. They used
They had
to be
push up off the ground, right?
They used to be four-legged.
Right.
And when they became biped, so that they can see farther,
these were on the way to disappearing completely
because it didn't have to.
Yeah.
But they had large claws, so they can hold it close to the mouth.
But also, I think that what's interesting about that is that teenage boys would be very attracted to this.
Yeah.
So that was. Would you say that was the core of your audience?
That's precisely it. And because teenage boys were attracted to that, straight women mostly were also attracted to that power and that thing. In point of fact, I had more than one request for girls to spend the night with the demon. Can you leave the makeup on and the thing? Yeah.
When did you come up with the name The Demon for that?
I did not. The fans, they started calling me the demon, and they started calling Paul the
Star Child.
Star Child.
You had no name for this persona.
No.
All right, my last question for you. What's the next hustle? Because you're still hustling. You have been interested in acting. You've done.
Yeah.
You did your
Michael Crichton gave me my shot.
Are you still interested in acting?
It's fun, but the amount of I admire,
too much waiting around. Too much waiting around, right?
Yeah, and you just never know when the next thing is. I mean, I don't mean lucky. I mean, you had a great time with X-Files, and you know what's going on, and you're working all the time. You had a regimen.
Right.
But poor actors who go from gig to gig, one year you don't work at all, am I out? And then all of a sudden you're out.
Yeah, but you don't have to rely on that.
Okay, so what's my hustles today? Well, we spend a lot of time, Paul and I, on the KISS thing. There's a motion picture coming out that McGee is going to direct. And we have the KISS Avatars show coming. There's a lot of KISS stuff. There's going to be cartoons and traveling KISS shows and all that. A lot of licensing and merchandising. I like to joke around, but it's actual fact. We've had KISS condoms and KISS caskets. We got you coming and we got you going. See what I did there? Yeah,
I do.
But that's actually
I not only see what you did, but I saw it coming.
Fact.
Well, I want to end, and this could be a grave mistake.
You're going to take your pants off?
They haven't been on the whole time. Do you remember the David Duchovny "Why Don't You Love Me" video that you guys did? You don't remember appearing in that, do you? There was a song that was written about me, and then KISS, in full makeup, full concert gear, gave me a shout out back then. And we have never met until today, but that was.
Give me $5. Fuck that other stuff. Give me money.
But you called me out. You said something to me in there. You said something about my acting, and then you did.
What did I say?
I can't remember. But I also am. My agent was Risa Shapiro back in the day.
I used to torture Rita. I'll tell you what I have said to her over and over again.
She said that she did an imitation of me.
Yes, all the time.
Well.
Ready?
No, I'm not ready.
Hi, I'm David Duchovny. My mouth barely moves when I talk. Here's me when I'm angry. Here's me when I'm sad. And she used to, be in her office talking about some project. She'd laugh her head off.
Right.
But not in front of you.
Not laughing.
You barely move your mouth when you talk. I don't know how you do that.
Skill, my friend.
It's a skill.
If you
wait, it's like that. It's skill, my friend.
Yeah. It's called deadpan, I guess. There's a lot going on underneath. I guess you got to look more closely at me,
I'm so
Gene.
sorry.
I would tell you this in response to your imitation of me. That when I started out, and X-Files was very early on for me, I was struggling. I wasn't yet the actor that I could become.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pressure, a lot of lines, and I think I was tight. And I think I turned that into kind of a style, at least in that show. And I think you were perceptive in a way for calling that out.
Well,
But
in
I think
X-Files,
I think it worked.
There's no question about it. In
Yeah.
X-Files,
Yeah, I'm defending myself.
Making an observation,
Yeah.
not a defense. In X-Files, I was always wondering, and I must have seen all of them,
Yeah.
but certainly the vast majority is I was
You're a big
always.
sci-fi fan, aren't you?
Oh, I'll
Yeah.
tell you more things than you
Yeah.
want to know. You can
Right.
test each other. I was always wondering, what's this guy all about? Because you just didn't show it.
Yeah.
I mean, besides the
Yeah.
man with the cigarette and all this
Right.
other stuff, you always wonder, well, it's not like a Dashiell Hammett character or anything.
Right.
Listen, sweetheart.
Yeah.
It's this kind of,
It was a persona, wasn't it?
yes, and you're dealing
Right.
with, different kinds of ideas, and
Yeah.
certainly the wrong actor being in that role.
I know where you're going. We don't have to name any names, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Gene Simmons.
Now get out.
It's been my pleasure.
Can't believe
I had
you made-
all these notes, but I didn't even look at them, did I? Didn't look
I
at
was
them
about
once.
to say, this is the first. I've done a few podcasts, not too many, but first one I ever saw with anybody having notes.
Not just look.
Unbelievable.
Wait, well, here's the earlier notes.
Wow.
Thanks so much for listening to Fail Better. If you haven't subscribed to Lemonada Premium yet, now's the perfect time because guess what? You can listen completely ad-free. Plus, you'll unlock exclusive bonus content like the full version of my post-interview thoughts that you won't hear anywhere else. That's more of my recaps on interviews with guests like Chris Carter and Emily Deschanel. Just tap that subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or head to lemonadapremium.com to subscribe on any other app. That's lemonadapremium.com. Don't miss out. Fail Better is a production of Lemonada Media in coordination with King Baby. It is produced by Keegan Zema, Aria Bracci, and Donnie Matias. Our engineer is Brian Castillo. Our SVP of Weekly is Steve Nelson. Special thanks to Carl Ackerman, Tom Kupinski, Brad Davidson, and Jonathan Smith. The show is executive produced by Stephanie Whittles-Wax, Jessica Cordova-Kramer, and me, David Duchovny. The music is also by me and my band, the lovely Colin Lee, Pat McCusker, Mitch Stewart, Davis Rowan, and Sebastian Modak. You can find us online at Lemonada Media, and you can find me at David Duchovny. Follow Fail Better wherever you get your podcasts, or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.